A young millionaire, a famous architect named Liam. He woke up early, preparing for the important day ahead. Carefully choosing an elegant suit, he dressed meticulously, aware of how crucial the meeting in the nearby city would be. Before departing, he called the man he was scheduled to meet. "Good morning, Mr. Connor. I'm on my way now and should be there shortly," Liam said, confirming his plans as he made his way to the car. Just then, a torrential downpour began. The driver, well acquainted with Liam's usual route and routines, waited in the car. "Looks like we'll be dealing with some tough weather, Mr. Liam," he remarked as Liam approached. Traffic in the neighboring city was chaotic due to the heavy rain, and the car crept along slowly through the crowded streets. Watching the rain hit the windows, Liam was lost in thought about the upcoming meeting when something on the roadside caught his eye. A woman, clearly homeless, holding a newborn baby as she desperately tried to shield it from the relentless rain. The sight struck a deep chord in Liam. Without a second thought, Liam told the driver, "Please stop the car. I need to help that woman." The driver, aware of Liam's compassion, gently cautioned, "But Mr. Liam, you'll get drenched and ruin your suit. Plus, we have that meeting to get to." Liam, resolute, replied, "I don't care about the suit or being late. That woman and her baby need help right now." He opened the car door and stepped out into the pouring rain. Approaching the woman, he asked, "Can I help you? You and your baby shouldn't be out here in this weather. Do you have anywhere to go? A place to stay?" Surprised, the woman, still shielding her child from the rain, quickly answered, "No, we don't have anywhere to go," though she didn't elaborate further. Feeling a sense of urgency, Liam rushed back to the car and asked the driver to open the glove compartment. He took out a set of keys, then returned to the woman and introduced himself briefly. "What's your name?" he asked. "Ilara," she replied, clutching her daughter close. "Ilara, here is the key to my father's house. It's nearby, and he's staying with me for now, so the house is empty. You and your daughter can stay there," Liam said, extending the keys. "I have to go because I'm late for a meeting, but my driver will take you there and help with anything you need." Handing her the keys, Liam quickly got back into the car, already soaked, and told the driver, "I'll walk to the meeting. Please take Ilara and her child to my father's house just down the road. Stop at the market on the way and get whatever they might need: food, clothes, diapers." The driver, accustomed to Liam's acts of kindness, nodded promptly. "Of course, Mr. Liam. I'll take care of everything." After dropping Liam off, he returned to Ilara, who was standing in the rain with her baby. "Come with me. Don't worry, I'll take you to a safe place. Mr. Liam wants to help you and your daughter," he said kindly. But Ilara looked at him with a mix of fear and distrust. "I don't know you. I've seen things on TV. I can't just trust anyone," she said, holding her baby protectively. Understanding her hesitation, the driver tried to reassure her. "I understand. Look, I'm a father too. I've been working with Mr. Liam for years, and he's a truly kind-hearted man." To prove his sincerity, he showed her photos of his own family from his wallet. Ilara, still cautious, studied the photos and the driver's earnest expression. Reluctantly, but feeling that this could be her chance for safety, she agreed to go with him. She carefully got into the car, shielding her daughter from the rain, as the driver drove them to Liam's father's house. Along the way, they stopped at a market to buy food and baby supplies. Later that afternoon, after a long and productive meeting, Liam left the building and found his driver waiting for him. Once in the car, he immediately asked, "How did it go with Ilara and the baby?" "Did they make it safely to my father's house?" The driver replied, "Yes, Mr. Liam, but I dropped them off at the start of the street to make it easier to turn the car around." A bit surprised by the driver's decision, Liam gently said, "You should have left her at the front door, especially with the rain and the baby." After a moment of thought, he added, "But it's fine. We've all had a busy day. I'll check on them tomorrow to see if they need anything." As he looked out the car window, his mind was occupied with thoughts of Ilara and her daughter, feeling reassured that he had made the right choice to help them. On a bustling day in Boston, Liam finds himself moving through the grand hall of one of the country's most prestigious architectural events. The air is filled with sophistication and elegance, but the true purpose of the evening is rooted in charity, raising funds for affordable housing projects. Famous architects, including Liam, have donated designs to help make these plans a reality. giving the wealthy an opportunity to raise meaningful donations, although for some it is just another event to show off their status. Known for his exceptional talent, Liam is admired as much as the works he has created. Despite his success, he has always maintained a cold, distant attitude towards people. Liam was originally a warm person, but after the shock of losing his young wife in an accident, he became cold and withdrawn. He is living with his sick father. During this event, Liam met Vera, a legend in the architectural world, famous for her remarkable career and countless achievements. "Liam, it's impressive to see you here," she said, looking at him closely. "I heard that in addition to your busy work, you also spend time taking care of your father. That is truly commendable." Liam smiled politely and nodded, feeling a little out of place in an environment that he found increasingly shallow. Sensing his discomfort, Vera asked, "What really brings you here, Liam? It seems you're not here just to socialize." With a sad smile, Liam replied, "I'm here more out of obligation than desire. My life has been shaped by more than architecture. It's been shaped by deeper experiences, mostly by my father." He paused, reminiscing. "Despite all the hardships, my father always found a way to help others. He raised me alone, and every sacrifice he made was a life lesson." Vera listened intently, her admiration evident. It's rare to find someone who holds those values, especially with the success you've achieved. Your father must have been an extraordinary man. "He really did," Liam replied, his voice full of pride. "He did everything he could to support us, from fixing things for neighbors to tutoring. He always said that a man's greatest asset was not what he owned, but what he was able to give." Nodding, Vera acknowledged the depth of his words. "That says a lot about you, Liam, and how you approach life and work. There are many people here who could learn from you." "Thank you, Vera," Liam said, smiling. "I just try to live in a way that would make my father proud. He taught me that the true architecture of life is building bridges between people and creating spaces filled with empathy and support." Vera smiled back, genuinely touched. She too came from humble beginnings and had worked her way to the top of her profession, though she kept her personal life out of the public eye, especially since she was single. After the event, Liam drove home, his father watching a late-night show. Despite his poor health, David's mind was clear and his spirits were high. "How was the event, son?" David asked, his eyes curious. "Did they raise much?" "It went well, although there are always people who think that wealth makes them invincible," Liam replied, sitting next to his father. "But it was a success. I even talked to Vera about how our work could mean something to society." David had endured countless hardships, shouldering the enormous responsibility of raising Liam alone after his mother died. Despite his financial difficulties, he prioritized Liam's education, believing that it was the path to a better life. Every penny he earned was spent on Liam's future, and Liam, in turn, seized every opportunity, growing into the famous architect he is today. Even after his success, Liam never forgot the sacrifices his father made for him and was always devoted to taking care of him with the love he received. Tomorrow, when Liam finally arrived home, he barely had time to open the door before Mrs. Rose, his father's caregiver, greeted him warmly. Upon Liam's return, Mrs. Rose had unexpected news. "Mr. Liam, your father, Mr. David, took a set of keys to his other house and went there alone after you left. He said he wanted to spend a few days there because he was feeling a bit bored and slightly better," she informed him, her tone somewhat hesitant. Liam was caught off guard. "He went by himself? But he knows he shouldn't have," Liam replied, worry evident in his voice. He was deeply concerned about his father's health and safety. "Yes, he went alone," Mrs. Rose continued, interrupting his thoughts. "He waited until you were out of town because he knew you wouldn't let him go by himself. He seemed very determined and said he felt well enough to stay there alone for a few days." The news of his father's unexpected decision to visit the house where Alara and her daughter were staying made Liam uneasy. Without delay, he instructed the driver to take him there immediately. As they sped through the streets, his worry grew stronger. When Liam arrived, he noticed the front door was open and an ambulance parked outside. His heart pounded as he saw paramedics carrying his father out on a stretcher. Overcome with fear, Liam rushed to them, desperate to understand what had happened. "I'm his son. What happened?" Liam asked, his voice trembling. The doctor looked at him calmly and explained, "Your father had a stroke. Fortunately, your wife was here and acted quickly, calling for an ambulance. She saved his life. A whirlwind of emotions flooded Liam, relief that his father was alive, gratitude that Alara had been there, and a deep fear of what could have happened. He followed the stretcher to the ambulance, determined to stay by his father's side during this critical time. After his father was safely in the hospital, Liam returned home to find Alara and her daughter. He approached Alara, still shaken by the incident, but trying to remain calm. "Alara, I don't even know how to thank you for everything you've done," Liam said, a mixture of gratitude and nervousness in his tone. "The doctor thought you were my wife," he added, trying to lighten the tension with a slight smile. Alara, recognizing the gravity of the situation, replied gently, "There's no need to thank me, Mr. Liam. I just did what anyone would do. I happened to be in the right place at the right time." Liam noticed the modest items she had purchased, seeing that they were only basic necessities. "I see you've only picked up the essentials. You could have taken more, you know." "You don't have to limit yourself," he commented, concerned she might not have enough. With a mixture of gratitude and hesitation in her eyes, Alara responded, "I didn't want to take advantage of your generosity. You've already done so much for us." There was a brief silence during which Liam felt a deep connection to Alara. "Alara, I'd really like to learn more about you and your daughter. How did you end up in this situation? If you feel comfortable, I'd like to listen," Liam said, expressing his sincere desire to understand and help her. Alara sighed, seeming to weigh her decision before opening up. She looked at her daughter, then at Liam, and began, "I never knew my mother. I grew up with a father who was more of a stranger to me. He drank heavily and barely noticed I existed." Liam listened intently, sensing the strength in her words. "I wanted to study, you know, but my father wouldn't allow it. I read in secret after he'd fallen asleep, dreaming of a different future," Alara recalled, pausing as memories surfaced. "As time went on, his drinking got worse. I tried to help, but it was no use. He was a harsh man and scared me most of the time. Then one day, I met someone." Her voice softened as she continued. "He seemed perfect, kind. We were together for a while, and I thought I finally had a chance at a real family when I got pregnant. I was scared, but I believed we could make it work." Alara took a shaky breath, her voice filled with hurt. "But as soon as he found out I was pregnant, he left. He vanished, and I never saw him again. I managed to hide the pregnancy for a while, but when my father found out—" She hesitated, pain evident in her voice. "He was furious. He wouldn't listen. He threw me out with nothing." Liam's voice was thick with concern. "How did you manage to survive?" "I begged for money, lived on the streets. When my daughter was born, it was the homeless who helped me. I was scared and distrustful of everyone, but I had to be strong for her," she replied. Liam looked at Alara, seeing not only the pain and fear, but also an incredible resilience. "You are unbelievably strong, Alara. Your story, it's one of immense struggle." Alara gave a sad smile. "I didn't have a choice. Life hasn't been kind, but I couldn't give up. For my daughter, I'd go through it all over again." She paused, her voice choked with emotion. "I don't know how to thank you for all you've done. When I saw all your father's books, it felt like I'd entered paradise. I love reading, but I've never had access to so many books before," Alara said, her voice filled with wonder. Liam smiled warmly. "Feel free to read as much as you'd like, Alara. These books are yours to enjoy as well." Just before leaving, Liam turned back and handed her an envelope. "Here's something to help with the expenses," he said softly. Alara glanced at the envelope, noting its weight. Carefully opening it, her eyes widened at the amount inside. "Liam, this is too much. I can't accept it all," she stammered, her voice trembling with emotion. Liam smiled reassuringly. "Please, Alara, accept it. You need this more than I do. Use it to buy clothes, food, whatever you and your baby need." Tears filled Alara's eyes. "I don't even know how to thank you. You're giving me more than help. You're giving me hope." A silence settled between them before Alara spoke again, curiosity evident in her expression. "Liam, may I ask, are you married?" Liam sighed, a shadow crossing his face. "I was," he replied quietly. "My wife, she passed away in an accident just a month after our wedding. That was 3 years ago. Ilara covered her mouth in shock, sorrow touching her features. I'm so sorry, Liam. I had no idea. He shook his head gently. It's all right. It was difficult, but I've learned to live with it. The pain never truly leaves, but we find a way to move forward, don't we? Ilara nodded, feeling an unexpected bond with Liam, linked by shared experiences of loss and hardship. Liam stood, picking up his keys. Well, I should get going, but please make yourself at home here. And if you need anything at all, just call me. Thank you, Liam, Ilara said sincerely, for everything. He nodded, a faint, sad smile on his lips. Take care, Ilara, and remember you're not alone. With that, he left, leaving Ilara surrounded by a feeling of gratitude, hope, and a newfound sense that she was no longer so isolated in the world. Returning to his own home, Liam's thoughts lingered on his meeting with Ilara and her story. The next day, he visited his father in the hospital. Although his father's condition was stable, he still required constant care. Sitting by the bedside, Liam shared Ilara's story with him, recounting how she had called for medical help and saved Mr. David's life, as well as the challenges she had faced. Listening intently, Liam's father looked moved. You did a wonderful thing, son. Ilara seems like a remarkable, brave woman, he said in a weak but proud voice. It's good to know you've grown into a man with a compassionate heart. I thank God for not abandoning me when I asked for strength to raise you alone. After a moment of contemplative silence, his father spoke again, looking thoughtful. Don't you think it would be better if Ilara and her baby lived closer to us? They could stay at our house. I'd like to have more life around, and you wouldn't have to travel so much to see them. Liam considered the idea, finding it appealing. The thought of having Ilara and her daughter nearby was comforting, and he knew his father would enjoy the companionship. That's a great idea, Dad. I'll discuss it with Ilara. I think their presence would bring joy to our home. His father smiled, clearly excited by the prospect. It would be wonderful to have a child around. It's been so quiet when you're away working. With a new plan forming in his mind, Liam said goodbye to his father, promising to seriously consider the suggestion and talk to Ilara about it. He left the hospital feeling hopeful, pondering the possibilities that lay ahead for them all. After a long day at work, exhausted but determined, Liam drove to the house where Ilara was staying, intent on sharing the proposal with her. When he arrived, he found her tidying up the living room while the baby played quietly nearby. Ilara, I have something important to discuss with you, Liam began as he sat down near her. Ilara looked up, intrigued. What's on your mind, Liam? He took a deep breath, gathering his thoughts. My house is spacious, and ever since my father fell ill, it's felt emptier. He loves reading, just like you, and I thought you could keep him company. He could even help you with your studies if you'd like. Ilara seemed taken aback by the offer. You mean, live in your house? Me and my daughter? Yes, Liam confirmed. It would be wonderful to have both of you there. I think your presence could lift my father's spirits, and you'd have a safe place to stay. Plus, you'd have access to all the books you could want. Ilara sat in silence, processing his offer. That would be amazing, Liam. I don't know how to thank you. It would be such a huge help for me and my daughter, and I'd love to be able to study more. Liam smiled, relieved and happy with her answer. Then it's settled. Let's make it happen. I believe this will be good for all of us. With gratitude evident on her face, Ilara agreed, quickly gathering her and her daughter's things. Once they were ready, they returned to Liam's home, her heart full of hope for the opportunity to learn and create a better future. As they entered, Ilara looked around in awe. Liam, your home is incredible. You truly are a talented architect, she said, admiring the space. Liam smiled, appreciating her praise. Thank you, Ilara. I hope you and your daughter will feel comfortable here. In the days that followed, Ilara and Mr. David grew closer. With great enthusiasm, he began introducing her to his vast collection of books, carefully picking out the ones he thought would interest her the most. One day, as he held an old favorite, he shared, "This one was always close to my heart. When she was younger, I think you'll like it," Liam said, handing Ilara the book. Ilara took it, flipping through its aged pages. "It looks fascinating. Thank you for sharing this with me, Mr. David, she said warmly. Noticing the special connection forming between them and Alara's dedication to his father, Liam made the decision to let go of his father's caretaker. Alara had offered to look after Mr. David whenever Liam was away, caring for him with a mix of respect and affection, and Mr. David deeply appreciated both her and her daughter's company. Alara often expressed how much she enjoyed this new chapter in her life. I really enjoy taking care of your father, Liam. He's been so kind to me and my daughter. It's the least I can do. Liam nodded in appreciation. You're already a part of this family, Alara. My father and I are so grateful to have you and your daughter here. As Alara settled into life in Liam's home, he made it a priority not only to provide a safe place for her, but also to support her financial independence. One day while they were in the kitchen, Liam brought up the topic. Alara, I've been thinking, he began. I'd like to offer you a salary. You've done an incredible job taking care of my father and the house, and I think it's important that you have your own income. Alara looked at him surprised. Liam, that's not necessary. You're already providing a home and everything my daughter and I need. I know, Liam replied, but it's important to me that you feel independent. I want you to be able to buy things for yourself and your daughter without needing to ask. Alara's eyes reflected a mixture of gratitude and melancholy as she looked at Liam. You have no idea what your words mean to me, she began, her voice trembling with emotion. For so long, my life was controlled by others, always someone telling me what I could or couldn't do, where I could go, how I should live. I was treated as if my choices didn't matter. This freedom you're offering, it's something I barely dared to dream of. Liam listened with understanding and encouragement. He leaned closer, meeting her gaze. I see your strength, Alara, and I believe in you, even more than you believe in yourself right now. You're capable of so much more than you realize, and it's time to start exploring that. This isn't just about buying things. It's about taking control of your life. Independence begins with small steps, and each choice you make is another step forward in this new journey. Alara sighed, absorbing his words. I've always been afraid, she confessed, afraid of making mistakes, afraid of choosing the wrong path. I was conditioned to believe I wasn't capable. Every choice I avoided making kept me trapped, kept me dependent. But you're right. Maybe this is how I start to feel free. Liam nodded, encouraging her to continue. Exactly, Alara. And remember, you don't have to do this alone. I'm here to support you, but the final decision will always be yours. Think of this as an opportunity to rediscover yourself, to explore what you genuinely like, what you want for your life and for your daughter. I want that. I really do, Alara replied. I want my daughter to see me as an example of strength and independence, not dependency. I want her to grow up knowing she can make her own choices without fear. Liam, thank you for believing in me. Liam smiled, pleased to see determination growing in her eyes. Then let's start with small steps. How about we set some initial goals together? Simple things like opening your own bank account or buying something you've always wanted for yourself and your daughter. Let's make each choice a step toward your complete independence. From that moment on, Alara began receiving a regular salary from Liam. For the first time in years, she felt the empowerment of financial autonomy. She could buy clothes for her daughter, pick out new books, and even save for the future without feeling dependent or needing permission. Over time, the relationship between Liam and Alara grew closer and more affectionate. Liam cherished spending time with Mila, Alara's daughter, often taking her for walks. During these moments, he would share his passion for architecture with Alara, who listened intently, absorbing every word. Alara, in turn, dedicated herself to reading the books Liam introduced her to, eager to continue learning and growing. Liam suggested that he and Alara deepen their bond, as their affection was turning into something much more profound. Alara could feel herself falling for Liam, but she kept her emotions hidden, unsure of how to move forward. One evening, Liam found himself opening up to his father. They sat together on the porch watching the sunset. When Liam finally spoke up, Dad, I think I'm falling in love with Alara. It's the first time in years I've felt this way, but I don't know what to do. With an understanding smile, his father replied, Son, life's too short for holding back. If you feel this way about Alara, you should tell her. You deserve happiness." Liam considered his father's words. "Do you really think so? What if she doesn't feel the same?" His father reassured him, "You'll never know unless you try. And from what I've noticed, the way she looks at you speaks volumes." Inspired by his father's advice, Liam decided to open up to Alara. Nervous but hopeful, he carefully thought about how he would approach the topic, wishing with all his heart that her feelings mirrored his own. Later that evening, after putting Mila to bed, Alara was reading in the living room when Liam joined her. His heart raced as he broke the comfortable silence with a gentle but hesitant voice. "Alara, can we talk about something important?" Alara set her book aside, looking at him attentively. "Of course, Liam. What's on your mind?" Liam took a deep breath, gathering his courage. "Lately, I've been feeling something more for you. Something beyond friendship. You've brought light into my life and this home. I care about you and Mela more than I ever expected." Alara's heart raced, moved and surprised by his confession. "Liam, I feel something for you too. You've been wonderful to us," she replied, her voice trembling slightly. Liam took her hand, his eyes filled with sincerity. "Alara, I want to be here for you, not just as a friend, but as someone who truly cares. I want to be a part of Mila's life and care for her as if she were my own daughter." Tears welled up in Alara's eyes, touched by his heartfelt words. "That means so much to me, Liam. Mila and I, we already see you as family." From that night on, Liam and Alara's relationship blossomed. Alara began to accompany Liam to social and professional gatherings. People's reactions varied. Some cast judgmental glances, others whispered mean-spirited remarks, referring to Alara as the beggar Liam took in. Despite the criticism, Liam remained steadfast by Alara's side, making her feel secure and valued. At one such event, an elegant cocktail party at an art gallery, Mrs. Vera, a well-known figure in Liam's social circle, approached them with a polite smile. "Liam, Alara, it's nice to see you two here," she greeted, still maintaining a friendly tone. "I've heard about your relationship and wanted to congratulate you." Mrs. Vera stared at Alara, which made Alara feel flustered, but she remained calm. Vera continued, her gaze still on Alara. "It's always refreshing to see new faces at our events. Alara, you have a unique charm." She looked at Alara, reminding her of her daughter, if not lost. Perhaps her daughter was like Alara. Mrs. Vera stared at Alara and left. "Thank you, Mrs. Vera," Alara replied politely. They continued to enjoy the event together. About 2 weeks later, Liam received an invitation to dinner at Vera's house. Both were curious and cautious. On the night of the dinner, Liam and Alara entered Vera's elegant home, struck by the meticulous decor. Despite the beauty, Alara sensed a chill in the atmosphere, a certain emptiness. Vera, who lived alone, welcomed them warmly and invited them to sit. "Your house is wonderful, Vera," Alara commented, though she felt the place lacked warmth. "Thank you, Alara. I put a lot of thought into every detail," Vera replied proudly. As they conversed, Vera began sharing stories, hinting at a troubled past. Sensing deeper meaning, Liam gently asked, "Mrs. Vera, why did you invite us here tonight?" Vera hesitated, took a deep breath, then brought out a photo album. She opened it to a picture of herself, clearly pregnant, taken years ago. Liam and Alara studied the photo, confused. "Where's the child?" Liam asked. With tears in her eyes, Vera looked at Alara. "The child is you, Alara." Both Liam and Alara were stunned, trying to process the revelation. Alara's voice trembled. "I'm your daughter?" The truth left them speechless. Liam, still trying to make sense of it, asked, "How can you be so sure, Mrs. Vera?" With tears streaming, Vera recounted her story. "When I was young, I met your father, Alara. He seemed decent despite his struggles with alcohol. But after you were born, he turned violent. He took you from me the day we left the hospital and vanished." Alara, overwhelmed, asked, "So the man who raised me, he took me from you?" Vera nodded. "Yes, he took my most precious treasure, and I spent years searching for you." Alara asked, "But why are you certain now that I'm your daughter?" Vera explained, "When I first saw you, I recognized a birthmark on your hand that's identical to mine. I hired an investigator who found your father. He confessed everything. He kept me hidden, always afraid of being discovered, Ilara said, understanding the depth of Vera's story. Liam looked on, amazed. This is unbelievable. Ilara, emotional, said, I never imagined something like this could happen. Vera nodded, her own eyes filled with tears. Despite everything, I arranged for your father to be taken to a care facility. He's been diagnosed with schizophrenia. Liam, still processing, asked, After all he did, you helped him? Vera sighed. Yes, he is a sick man who deserves compassion. I've spent years angry, but now seeing my daughter here, I feel nothing but joy. Ilara, touched, replied, Thank you for that, Vera. I'm still trying to understand it all, but I appreciate your compassion. After these revelations, Ilara's life changed dramatically. She began visiting Vera regularly, working to rebuild their bond. One day, as they sat on Vera's porch, Vera asked about Ilara's dreams. You've always wanted to study more, haven't you? Ilara's eyes lit up. Yes, I've dreamed of studying architecture. Vera smiled. Then it's time. Enroll in the best school, and I'll handle everything. Ilara, moved, replied, I don't know how to thank you. Vera reached out, holding her hand. After all we lost, this is the least I can do. And I want to be there for Mila too. Something I missed with you. Ilara, teary-eyed, felt a wave of joy. Thank you, Vera. Mila will love having you as her grandmother. In a tender moment, Vera confided, My greatest wish is to hear you call me Mom, but I respect that it may take time. Ilara responded, You're already doing so much, Vera. I'm sure we'll grow closer. Over time, their bond naturally deepened, and Ilara's daughter, Mila, brought warmth and laughter to Vera's house. Years passed, and Ilara finally graduated from her architecture program. At the ceremony, surrounded by friends and family, she felt immense pride. In her speech, she said, Today, I'm here not just because of my own efforts, but because of the support from special people. My husband, my father-in-law, and my beloved mother, Vera. Mom, you gave me a home, love, and the family I always dreamed of. Vera, overwhelmed, wept with joy as she heard Ilara call her Mom. After the ceremony, Vera embraced Ilara, saying, For so many years, my heart was incomplete. I always dreamed of this moment. Ilara, touched, replied, Mom, you've shown me the true meaning of family and love. I'm forever grateful. Hand in hand, they left the ceremony, hopeful for a brighter future. Their story was a testament to the strength of maternal love and resilience. In a world where wealth dictated everything, or at least that's how it seemed for Isabel, one of the city's most arrogant and entitled elites, trust was as rare as a diamond in a coal mine. Isabel's existence revolved around the numbers in her overflowing bank account, the glittering symbols of her success, and the relentless pursuit of luxury. Her mansion, gleaming under the harsh brilliance of the midday sun, stood as a towering monument of her power, dominating the city's skyline, where technology and indulgence reigned supreme. At just 25 years old, Isabel was the very picture of flawless sophistication. Every aspect of her appearance was a deliberate masterpiece. Her cold blue eyes mirrored the ice in her heart, and her elegant posture radiated unapproachable perfection. Draped in a custom-tailored dress, worth more than most people could dream of earning in a year, she looked like she had been sculpted by an artist obsessed with opulence. On her slender wrist glittered a limited-edition gemstone bracelet, a silent proclamation of her philosophy. Time is money, and she had both in spades. With a glass of outrageously expensive aged wine in hand, because even her beverages had to exude status, Isabel watched from her grand bedroom window, her gaze fixed on Clara, her maid, who toiled under the searing sun. Clara moved with a quiet dedication, every rosebush pruned to perfection, every corner of the estate scrubbed spotless. Isabel found Clara's devotion almost amusing, a curiosity she barely understood. Clara was everything Isabel despised yet secretly envied, grounded, hard-working, and, most infuriatingly, at peace with her simple life. Her natural beauty shone with an unassuming grace, even in plain, practical clothes. At 30, Clara's face carried the quiet pride of a life built on hard work. Her hands, rough and calloused, moved with a practiced precision, each motion a testament to years of labor and genuine love for her craft. The sweat that glistened on her brow spoke of a strength Isabel couldn't fathom, one that made her luxurious existence feel like a brittle illusion. Yet beneath Isabel's polished exterior, envy burned, feeding her contempt. As Isabel stood there, a sinister idea began to take shape in her mind. A sly smile curled her lips, revealing the malice hidden behind her polished exterior. Why not invite this country bumpkin to my birthday party? She thought, savoring the idea. It would be amusing to make her the laughingstock of the night. Isabel's birthday party was the event of the year at her family's grand estate, a lavish gathering of the city's wealthiest and most influential young elite. It was a parade of designer clothes, couture gowns, and jewelry that could feed entire villages. Isabel always basked in the spotlight at these events, bragging about her extravagant plans and showcasing her latest acquisitions. Whether it was a superstar she had befriended or a yacht bigger than anyone else's. But this year, Isabel planned something even more spectacular, a cruel prank designed to cement her status at the very top of their elite social hierarchy. Leaving her wine glass on the mahogany vanity, Isabel stepped out of her cool, air-conditioned bedroom and into the sweltering heat of the garden. The heat slapped her in the face, reminding her why she despised being outside. She approached Clara, who, upon seeing Isabel, quickly wiped the sweat from her brow with a delicate handkerchief and greeted her. "Good afternoon, Miss Isabel," Clara said. Isabel greeted Clara with a genuine smile, one so warm and radiant that it made Clara feel uncomfortable. How could someone smile so sincerely when their life was worth so little? "Clara, my dear friend," Isabel began, her voice smoothly blended with a practiced warmth she had perfected over the years. "I've been watching your work, and I must say, I'm very impressed." Clara's eyes lit up with pride at the compliment, and Isabel had to suppress the urge to cringe. It's so easy to manipulate the simple-minded, she thought. "Thank you, Miss Isabel. I always do my best to keep everything to your liking," Clara replied, her pride evident in her tone. Isabel nodded, pretending to be pleased. "And that is why, Clara, I want to give you something special, a reward for your hard work and dedication." Clara blinked in surprise. In all her years working for the Isabel family, she had never received anything beyond her weekly paycheck and perhaps a small Christmas bonus. "A reward, miss?" she asked, curiosity filling her voice. "Yes," Isabel continued, savoring each word as though she were sipping a fine wine. "As you know, every year I have a birthday party. It's the biggest event of the year, where the wealthiest children from the nation's elite gather." Clara nodded, though it was clear she didn't truly know anything about this event. To her, parties and elite socialites were as distant and unreachable as the moon. "So this year," Isabel declared, "I want you to come with me." She watched as shock and disbelief spread across the maid's face. "Me? To a party?" Clara stammered, clearly overwhelmed by the invitation. "But miss, I don't know anyone there. I wouldn't know what to do or say at a place like that." Isabel held back a laugh. Clara's insecurity was precisely what she wanted. "Don't worry, Clara. You'll be my guest of honor. Think of it as an opportunity to see how the other half lives. Besides, I'm sure everyone will be thrilled to meet the one who takes care of me in my home." Clara glanced at her dirt-stained, work-worn hands and then at her clothes, still marked by the dust and grime of the garden. "You're too kind, Miss Isabel, but I have nothing appropriate to wear to such an event." "Don't worry about that," Isabel replied with a casual wave of her hand. "I'll make sure you have something fitting for the occasion. So, what do you say? Will you accept my invitation?" For a moment there was hesitation, a brief flicker of doubt that told Clara something felt off about this sudden generosity. But the excitement and the chance to experience something so far removed from her daily life quickly outweighed her suspicion. "It would be an honor, Miss Isabel," Clara finally answered, a radiant smile spreading across her wrinkled face. "Thank you for thinking of me." "The pleasure is mine, Clara," Isabel said, placing a hand on Clara's shoulder to seal the deal. "The party is this Saturday, and I'll make sure you get everything you need." As Isabel walked away, leaving Clara suspended between excitement and worry, she finally allowed the malicious laughter she had been holding in to spill out. The game had begun, and she could already taste the sweetness of victory. Back in the cool comfort of her mansion, Isabel headed straight to her private bar, craving a drink to celebrate the beginning of her perfect plan. As she poured herself a glass of wine, her mind raced, replaying every detail of the humiliation she was about to orchestrate. She picked up her phone and dialed a number. After a few seconds, a familiar voice answered on the other end. Madeline. I need you to do something for me, Isabel said without bothering with a greeting. I want you to find a dress for my maid. It has to stand out, and the less appropriate, the better. Make sure it's way too big. There was a moment of silence on the other end, as if Madeline, her personal assistant, was trying to make sense of the strange request. Of course, Miss Isabel, Madeline finally replied. Do you have any preferences for color or style? Isabel smiled to herself. Surprise me, Madeline. Just make sure it's something that will have everyone staring for all the wrong reasons. She hung up without waiting for a response. Madeline would understand. She always did, which was why she was invaluable to Isabel. She was capable of executing even the most bizarre tasks without asking inconvenient questions. With the plan now set in motion, Isabel allowed herself to imagine how the gala would unfold. She pictured Clara walking in, awkward and out of place, wearing a ridiculous outfit that made her stand out like a sore thumb. She envisioned the confused stares, the stifled laughter, the whispered comments behind champagne glasses, and at the center of it all would be her, Isabel, the mastermind of this cruel comedy. She would be the talk of the town for weeks, maybe even months. Do you remember when Isabel brought her maid to the party? They would say, and everyone would laugh, admiring her boldness and cunning cruelty. But there was more at stake than just a mean-spirited prank. For Isabel, this was a statement, a reminder to everyone at the party of who she truly was. Not just a wealthy heiress, but someone capable of manipulating, controlling, and crafting a spectacle at will. As she sipped her wine, Isabel reflected on the path that had led her here. Born into wealth, her parents had climbed to the top of the business world through shrewdness, determination, and a complete lack of ethics. Every step on her parents' way to the top had been marked by decisions that others might call ruthless or immoral, instilling in Isabel the belief that cruelty was necessary for success. She recalled the stories her father had told her, like his first big break at just 26, when he hacked into and stole the idea of a promising startup, presenting it as his own and securing the backing of key investors. The original founder, a bright but naive young man, was never able to prove the theft and ended up working in an electronics store. His dreams shattered. Then there was the hostile takeover of a family business that had thrived for 3 generations. Isabel's father, without a shred of remorse, dismantled the company and sold off its assets, leaving dozens of loyal employees jobless. The father of that family, who had built the business from nothing, had a heart attack upon hearing the news and died shortly after. Each victory, each $1 million accumulated, each headline in the business magazines was another step in building Isabel's father's legacy of greed, convincing her that the more ruthless you were, the more successful you could be. And now, living at the pinnacle of the success her father had built, with more money than she could ever spend in several lifetimes, what was left for her? The thrill of it all had long since faded. The designer goods, the trips abroad, the luxury. They had all become dull, almost tasteless, and most of all, she hated the beautiful face of Clara. That's why she needed this small act of cruelty, this elaborate joke at the expense of a simple, kind girl like Clara. It was a reminder to herself and everyone around her that she could still cause a stir, create chaos, simply for the fun of it. As these thoughts swirled in her mind, Isabel moved back to the window. The sun was setting, painting the sky with shades of orange and pink. In the garden, Clara continued working, completely unaware of the fate Isabel had planned for her. For a brief moment, something like hesitation flickered in Isabel's mind. Was all of this really necessary? What would she truly gain from humiliating someone who had always been kind and hardworking? But the feeling vanished as quickly as it had come. I hate people more beautiful than me, she whispered, her face hardening with a dangerous resolve. The next few days were a whirlwind of activity at Isabel's mansion. Madeline, true to her reputation for efficiency, had found the perfect outfit for Clara. A garish green dress 2 sizes too big, with an absurdly puffed-out skirt. It was an outfit straight out of a bad stage performance, completely out of place at a glamorous party of elite socialites. When Madeline presented the dress to Isabel, she couldn't help but laugh with satisfaction. "Great job," she said, inspecting the outfit with cruel delight. "This is exactly what I had in mind." The night of the party arrived, a night of light and glamour that seemed to illuminate the entire city. The hotel where the party was being held was a magnificent building perched on cliffs overlooking the ocean, transformed into an oasis of luxury and exclusivity. The entrance was adorned with massive floral arrangements and a red carpet that stretched on endlessly, guarded by security staff in black suits and earpieces, standing still as statues. Luxury cars and limited edition sports cars glided past the Grand Hotel, each one more impressive than the last, in an endless parade of famous faces and friends of Isabel's parents, followed by the children of high-powered executives arriving one after the other. Inside her Rolls-Royce, Isabel adjusted the bow on her dress, an expectant smile playing on her lips. Next to her, Clara sat, clearly uncomfortable and out of place, squeezed into the garish green dress Madeline had found. "Remember, Clara," Isabel said with fake sweetness, "tonight, you're my special guest. Don't worry if you don't understand everything that's said. Just smile and nod." Clara, her sweaty hands clenched on her knees, nodded nervously. "Thank you again for this opportunity," she said, her voice small and sincere. "Miss Isabel, I promise I won't let you down," Clara said earnestly. Isabel had to suppress a giggle. Clara didn't realize that the only way to not disappoint her was to become the joke of the night. The Rolls-Royce pulled up to the entrance, and a valet swiftly opened the door. Isabel stepped out first, greeting the photographers with a practiced smile as flashes immediately went off. With a dramatic flair, she extended her hand to help Clara out of the car. The moment Clara stepped out was exactly as Isabel had envisioned. For a split second, the camera flashes paused, as if the photographers couldn't believe what they were seeing. Then, with renewed enthusiasm, the cameras began clicking furiously. Clara, blinded by the lights and overwhelmed by the sudden attention, stumbled slightly as she exited the car. Isabel held her hand, a gesture that appeared supportive to onlookers but was, in reality, meant to further expose Clara to the cameras. "Miss Isabel, who's your companion?" a reporter shouted. Isabel smiled, savoring the moment. "This is Clara, my maid," she announced. "I thought it would be fun to bring someone who really knows how to make things grow. Don't you all agree?" Giggles and stifled laughter rippled through the crowd. Clara, not understanding the true meaning behind Isabel's words, smiled awkwardly at the cameras. As they walked the red carpet, Isabel could feel the curious stares and amused glances following them. The celebrities, socialites, and elite figures observed with a mix of confusion and obvious entertainment. Inside the hotel's grand lobby, the contrast between Clara's world and the luxury around her became even more pronounced. Crystal chandeliers cast a golden glow over guests holding glasses of champagne. The wealthy attendees were adorned in designer gowns worth more than Clara's entire house, while the young heirs seemed to be in competition over who wore the most expensive watch or drove the flashiest car. Clara paused, clearly overwhelmed. "Miss Isabel," she whispered, "I'm not sure I belong here." Isabel suppressed a victorious smile. "Nonsense, Clara. You're my guest. Let me introduce you to some friends." With a hand on Clara's back, Isabel guided her toward a table where her parents sat with a group of high-powered executives. Near the bar, Isabel noticed James, the CEO of a promising startup, and Frank, a venture capitalist known for his sharp tongue. "Isabel," James called out, raising his glass. "We thought you were going to miss the party and all this fun." "Never," Isabel replied before turning to Clara. "Allow me to introduce my companion for the evening. This is Clara, my maid." The silence that followed was almost palpable. "Your maid?" Frank repeated, his tone a mix of disbelief and amusement. "Yes," Isabel confirmed, relishing every second. "I thought it would be refreshing to bring someone truly interesting, if you know what I mean." The polite laughter that followed was forced and uncomfortable. Clara, sensing she was the center of a joke she didn't fully grasp, smiled nervously. "Tell me, Clara," James said, clearly playing along with Isabel's joke. "What do you think of colonizing Mars?" Clara blinked, caught off guard. I don't know much about that, sir," she stammered. But I suppose if they're going to colonize Mars, they had all become dull. Almost every conversation, every glance, every stifled laugh reminded her that she was an outsider, a walking joke. As Clara dried her face with a towel softer than anything she had ever touched in her life, she considered her options. She could simply leave, catch a taxi, and retreat to the familiar comfort of her small home. But something inside her resisted the idea. She had promised Isabel she would attend the party, and Clara was a woman of her word, no matter the circumstances. With a deep sigh, she straightened up, adjusted the bow tie on her dress as best she could, and braced herself to face the rest of the evening with dignity. While Clara wrestled with her insecurities in the restroom, Isabel was in her element. Surrounded by the powerful and famous friends she adored, she commanded conversations with the poise of someone well-practiced in social finesse. Every word, gesture, and smile calculated for maximum effect. "Isabel," a voice called from behind her, "I must say, your choice of a companion tonight is quite interesting." Isabel turned to see Richard, her father's biggest rival in the tech world. Richard was everything her parents despised: intelligent, charming, and worst of all, genuinely beloved by his employees and colleagues. "Uncle Richard," Isabel replied with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Always a pleasure to see you. What can I say? I enjoy surprising people." Richard looked at her, his expression unreadable. "Is that what you're doing? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're humiliating a girl who clearly doesn't understand why she's here." Isabel's smile wavered for a moment. "Don't be dramatic, Uncle Richard. I'm simply showing Clara a world she would never see without me. Isn't that generous?" "Generous?" Richard repeated, his voice laced with skepticism. "Is that what you call it? Because to me this looks like an exercise in unnecessary cruelty." Before Isabel could respond, a murmur rippled across the room. All eyes turned toward the main entrance to the ballroom, where an imposing figure had just arrived. He was a tall man, around 75 years old, with silver-streaked hair slicked back and an air of undeniable authority. His suit was perfectly tailored, understated, yet exuding wealth with every stitch. But the most striking feature was his face, sharp eyes that seemed to pierce through every lie, and a smile that blended kindness and shrewdness seamlessly. Isabel felt her mouth go dry. She knew who the man was. Everyone in the country did. It was Jonathan, the legendary investor and philanthropist who had made and broken more fortunes in the tech industry than anyone else. He was the one man even the industry's giants revered, and he was heading straight toward them. "Richard, my boy," Jonathan greeted, his voice friendly yet commanding. "It's good to see you again. How's that clean energy project you told me about coming along?" Richard, clearly delighted to have Jonathan's attention, launched into an enthusiastic explanation of the latest advancements in solar technology. Isabel, feeling momentarily sidelined, prepared to interject, but then she noticed Jonathan's gaze shift toward her. "And you must be Isabel," Jonathan said, extending his hand. "I've heard a lot about you." Isabel shook his hand, desperately trying to hide her nerves behind a confident smile. "Mr. Jonathan, it's an honor. I hope everything you've heard is positive." Jonathan smiled, but there was something in his eyes. "To not miss the next stories, subscribe to our channel." "Thank you. Let's continue the story." The attention Isabel felt from the crowd made her feel as though she were being scrutinized under a microscope. "Oh, I've heard all sorts of things. You're certainly a remarkable figure, Isabel," Jonathan said, his voice smooth yet condescending. "There's no denying that. Although I must say your choice of companion tonight is quite notable." At that exact moment, as if summoned by Jonathan's words, Clara emerged from the crowd. Her face, still slightly flushed as if recently washed, held a new look of determination, as though she had made a difficult choice. The moment Isabel had anticipated all night had finally arrived. With Clara now in the ballroom and Jonathan observing with interest, the stage was set for the grand finale of Isabel's carefully orchestrated humiliation. "Mr. Jonathan," Isabel said, a smile playing on her lips that barely hid her underlying malice. "Allow me to introduce my special guest for the evening. This is Clara, my maid." The room fell into a silence so complete that even the background music seemed to fade, as if the entire world was holding its breath. Jonathan's eyes moved to Clara, his expression unreadable. Clara, standing as tall as she could in her ill-fitting dress, faced the curious and judgmental gazes of the elite crowd, as well as the infamous investor Jonathan, a family friend of Isabel's parents. Despite her anxiety, Clara stood with surprising determination. Then something unexpected happened. Jonathan smiled. It wasn't the sarcastic, mocking smile Isabel had been counting on, but a warm and genuine one that reached his eyes. "Clara," Jonathan said, extending his hand graciously, "it is an honor to finally meet you." Confusion spread across Isabel's face, an ink stain of disbelief marring her carefully composed features. What did he mean by that? Clara, equally astonished, took his hand, her voice stronger and steadier than it had been all evening. "The honor's mine, Mr. Jonathan," she replied. As if Jonathan's words had triggered a signal, something extraordinary began to unfold. Guests around the room began to rise, first a few at a time, then in larger groups, until the entire ballroom was standing. Applause filled the air, starting soft but quickly building into an overwhelming roar. Clara looked around, stunned, trying to make sense of the scene unfolding before her. "That's her!" someone in the crowd shouted. "The unknown angel!" "I can't believe it. She's a legend." Whispers spread like wildfire. "The unknown angel? Is she really here? I can't believe it." Isabel turned to Clara, her face a twisted mix of confusion and rising dread. "What are they talking about? What is this?" she demanded, her voice cracking. But Clara was no longer focused on Isabel. Her gaze had shifted to Jonathan, who gave her a slight nod, as if granting her permission to speak. Clara took a deep breath and for the first time that night stood completely tall. Suddenly, her ill-fitting dress no longer seemed important. There was a newfound dignity in her stance and strength in her eyes that Isabel had never noticed. "I think it's time for the truth to be revealed," Clara announced, her voice clear and unwavering. "Yes, I am the unknown angel." The revelation struck the room like a clap of thunder. Isabel felt the ground shift beneath her feet, disbelief washing over her. The unknown angel, the mysterious philanthropist who had secretly donated millions to charity, the subject of endless speculation in high society, was standing right before her. But you're a maid," Isabel stammered, unable to reconcile the truth with everything she thought she knew. The humble image of Clara carried the legend of the unknown angel. Clara smiled, a smile full of years of secrets and satisfaction. "Yes, I am a maid, and I'm proud of it," she replied. Then Jonathan stepped forward onto the stage, taking hold of the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, a few years ago, Clara was one of the top young entrepreneurs in our country, named among the top 5. However, for reasons unknown, she chose to step away from that life and live simply, doing what she loves." Jonathan moved closer to Clara, placing a hand on her shoulder. "I've had the privilege of working with Clara on many charitable projects over the years. Her generosity and humility are truly inspiring." Isabel felt her world spinning. Her plan, her cruel joke, had crumbled in an instant. Worse still, she had become the laughingstock, the villain of the story. The guests began flocking to Clara, eager to meet the legendary unknown angel. Executives, celebrities, and philanthropists who had looked at Clara with disdain only hours earlier were now vying for her attention. Ms. Marion, a famous actress, said, "Your donation saved the Arts Center in my hometown. I cannot thank you enough." Another renowned tech entrepreneur added, "The funds you provided for clean energy research are game-changing. It's an honor to finally meet you." As the compliments and gratitude continued, Isabel found herself retreating, shrinking away from the spotlight. Her mind raced, trying to process what was happening. How could she have been so wrong? How could she not have known? Clara, for her part, accepted the thanks with grace and humility. "The real honor is in helping," she said repeatedly. "Each of us has the power to make a difference, no matter our place in life." At one point, Clara turned to Isabel, who had withdrawn into a corner of the room. With steady steps, she approached her once proud employer, who now seemed small in the face of the revelation. "Isabel," Clara said, her voice gentle but firm, "I suppose you're wondering why I agreed to come tonight, knowing your intentions." Isabel, unable to meet Clara's gaze, looked down at the floor. I don't understand," she stammered. "Why work as a maid if you have so much money? Why put up with all of this?" She gestured vaguely to the party, and more broadly, to the way she had treated her. Clara smiled, a smile filled with empathy and sadness. Because honest work, Isabel, no matter what it is, has dignity. Because caring for you and your home, seeing things improve every day, keeps me grounded in what truly matters. And because sometimes the most important lessons come from the most unexpected places. Isabel felt something crack inside her. Her whole life, her entire upbringing, her parents had taught her that money and power were all that mattered. And now here was Clara, a woman with more wealth than Isabel could ever dream of, choosing to live a simple life and quietly do good. I'm sorry, Isabel mumbled, the words difficult to get out. I didn't mean to. Clara placed a hand on Isabel's shoulder, a gesture of understanding that Isabel felt she didn't deserve. I know, Isabel, Clara said gently, and while I can't condone your actions tonight, I think there's a lesson here for all of us. She turned to address the crowd around them, her voice rising so everyone could hear. Tonight reminds us that we should not judge people by appearances or their profession. True wealth is not measured in dollars, but in the positive impact we can make in the lives of others. A murmur of agreement spread through the room. Isabel could see the eyes that had once admired her now turning cold or filled with pity. She had fallen from her pedestal, and the fall was steep. Jonathan stepped closer, his presence always commanding. Isabel, he said, his voice a mix of disappointment and a sliver of hope. You made a grave mistake tonight, but as Clara pointed out, there is always room for growth and redemption. Isabel nodded, feeling smaller than she ever had before. We cannot change the past, Isabel, but we can plant the seeds for a better future, Jonathan continued, and you don't have to do it alone. There is a community here willing to help guide and work with your family on projects that truly matter. Isabel looked at him, feeling a mixture of humility and hope she had never experienced before. I want that, she whispered, to learn, to help, to do things differently. Clara smiled brightly. So, what do you say? If we start tomorrow morning at your house as I suggested, there's something truly therapeutic about cleaning and seeing your efforts quite literally. I would love that, Clara, Isabel replied, a newfound determination in her voice. I think I have a lot to learn from you, from everyone. As they spoke, Clara made her way to the balcony. Her presence, once overlooked or mocked, now radiated quiet authority. Ladies and gentlemen, Clara said with a gentle smile, I hope I'm not intruding. Not at all, Richard replied, making room for her to join them. Isabel, still grappling with her shame, could hardly meet Clara's eyes. Clara, I don't know what to say, she murmured. Clara placed her hand on Isabel's shoulder again, the same gesture of understanding. Sometimes, Isabel, there's no need to say anything. What matters is what we do from here on out. The group stood in silence for a moment, gazing out at the starry sky. As the gala ended, the guests left with a new perspective. The story of the unknown angel, the millionaire maid who had quietly helped others throughout her career, would spread like wildfire, inspiring many to reconsider their priorities and the true meaning of success. Isabel, who had once planned her birthday party with the intention of humiliating her beautiful maid, left with a lesson in humility and a newfound purpose in life. That night, Isabel sat down with her parents, and they talked for hours. Her parents, filled with regret for having raised her with such negative values, expressed their remorse. Together, they vowed to change, to strive to help the community rather than merely satisfy their own selfish ambitions. The next morning, as promised, Isabel showed up ready to work alongside Clara. As they cleaned the house, Isabel understood that they weren't just caring for a home. They were refreshing their lives and embracing transformation. Along with it came the promise of change for their entire community. The story of the wealthy heiress and her maid would become a legend in the country. A reminder that true wealth is not measured in dollars, but in the positive impact we can have on the lives of others. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more video. Thank you!